Hello everyone and welcome back to NHL 2K6 on the PS2. We're going to start this one looking off at the divisional rankings because we are currently holding the division title as it stands today heading into our final game that we're going to watch for the season. But here's a good look at the rest of the division just in general. And now we're going to look over the calendar. We picked up a win against the Blackhawks to start the month, and then we dropped a game to the Predators who are sitting at the bottom in that division screen you just saw. So it's important here that we obviously pick up wins today against the Red Wings. We have back-to-back games against them. The first one in Detroit, which is the one we're going to watch. So a very, very important game. I said at the end of the last one here, I think if we can win 2 or 3 of those Blackhawks games, win that one against St. Louis, and at least pick up one, if not both, of these Red Wings games, I think we should be okay in terms of winning the division. But I think regardless, if we just win a few games in this month, we should be able to make it to the playoffs still. So we will find out after this gameplay. So obviously, stay tuned for that. But this is the last game we are going to be watching in the season, and to think that we might even get playoffs out of it is absolutely nuts. Isn't that crazy? Considering where we were just a couple months ago, it's what a big month will do for you. So late in the first period, Rick Nash is going to lose the puck, and the defense tries to keep it in the zone, but they failed to do so. Now this one getting taken down by Shanahan. It's going to get passed, and a shot is on net, and the puck is loose in front of the net, and it's going to end up in the back of the net. So a defensive breakdown in almost every single facet here leads to a fast break here for the Red Wings. And a loose puck here that Mark Denise could not track and find. It's going to lead into a Detroit goal. So, and there were plenty of people in both halves that were in position here. Look at Mark Denise trying to figure out where it is, and you just couldn't. So a loose puck over by the boards is scooped up by Verborny and passed across the crease here over to Jeff Sanderson, who's able to net this one behind Manny Legacy, and we are going to get the replay of this one so you can better see the angle here. But yeah, Verborny getting bullied along the boards here, but he does manage to get the puck across the ice here over to Sanderson, who's able to just kind of flick it in past Manny Legacy's blocker, I think. I think he beat him on that blocker side here. As you can see, look at that, just straight through Castles over to Sanderson, who's going to beat him on the blocker side. So the game is now tied at 1. A little bit later in the first period, Therian Fleury passed in front of the net to Todd Marchand, and he beats Manny Legacy again, or the Jackets rather, beat Manny Legacy again. So Therian Fleury picks his puck up behind the net here. Very, very quick play here. Very crafty play by Therian Fleury. Just an amazing pass, too, man. I haven't seen offense set up like that from this team really all year. It's crazy when you see stuff like that happen. Just a beautifully timed one-timer here. And yeah, Manny Legacy cannot believe it. How does he let that one go? Come on. How do you do that? And so after one period of play here, another 2 goals scored in the first period, but now it's not a 2-goal lead, it's just a 1-goal lead as we lead the Wings 2-1. But in the second period, Andrew Castles is going to get caught for hooking, and so we are going to give Detroit a power play. So we haven't seen too many power play goals, been really good on penalty kill here, but Detroit on the attack now into this power play. It's a pass in front of the net, or rather across the net, across the crease, and that one's going to beat Mark Denise on, I think, the blocker side again, man. Really weak blocker side. So Scott Hannon, I don't even know Scott Hannon from a Wings fan at the time. I don't even know Scott Hannon. But there have been a lot of trades. I don't even think Pavel Datsyuk's on the Wings anymore. So that's just to show you how much movement has happened so far in the league in this first season. And it was really just a quick one-timer, and when you're down an attacker, or I guess rather in this case a defender on our end, stuff like that's going to happen. See, they had 2 guys in position. So we're going to cut ahead later in the second period, and already another goal before we can even really track it here. But it's a go-ahead goal for Detroit here in the second period as Alex Kovalev takes it down pretty much himself and just takes a quick shot at Mark Denise. I think he gets a glove on it a little bit, but just, yeah, not enough to stop it here. Yeah, I think he just tried to go for the catch here, just completely misses it. Or not completely, but rather just gets a piece of it and is unable to stop it. And so the Wings are going to get a pretty easy go-ahead goal here, which is going to set them up in position to win, and they are going to win. Nothing would happen in the third period. We were unable to even the score here and at least extend this one into overtime or shootouts. So the Red Wings are going to take this first game of 2, and we outshoot them too. So Manny Legacy just had a better game than Mark Denise did. Unfortunate, of course. But we're going to get back into the hub world and get into the rest of the month here because we are still alive for the division, of course, and still alive to make it to the playoffs just in general. So it's a tough one to lose here on the road to Detroit here, but we're still in good position. We had a good start to the month, so we're going to get back into the hub world and see if we can make it to the playoffs. All right, we are back in the hub world following our loss to the Red Wings, but it's okay. It's not bad because we did pick up a win against the Wings following that. But the bigger important thing, as you can see, is all the little Stanley Cup logos down here. What does that mean? Well, that means playoffs, and it does mean playoffs. So, but does that mean playoffs for us? You probably already saw as I flipped through it, it highlighted our name. But yes, it does mean us. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Give me a second here. So, we did pick up a win against the Red Wings following our loss when we head back home. We beat them. But overall, in the 9 games that we played in April, we won 5 of them. So, as I said in the last video, outside of our shortened February, we have not had a month with less than 5 wins, and so as long as we played around 500 hockey, I figured we would still be in position to win the division and go to the playoffs, and I was correct, as we did go 5-4 in the month of April. I would have liked to have maybe gained another point or so in one of these losses, but it is what it is. So we picked up 2 of 3 wins over the Blackhawks in this month here. We split with the Red Wings. We did lose to the Predators, who I think are still in the bottom of our division, and then we split this series here with the Stars and picked up a win against St. Louis, which I think is exactly what I was calling for. I think I wanted to win at least 2 of the 3 against Chicago. I think I wanted to win this game against St. Louis and then split with the Stars, and then I think that's where I pegged us, where my confidence level was. So, and that did seem to work out in our favor. So I guess we'll look at the standings first here and then the playoff tree. I kind of was thinking about not looking at the stats for this video because since it's the end of the season, I figured once our season was officially over, then we would kind of look at the, quote-unquote April stats, which would just subsequently be, the end-of-year stats. So, I don't think there's really any reason to look into our player stats at the end of the month. I mean, there might be. We'll gloss over and just see if there's anything that jumps out to us. See if maybe Mark Denise capped off his career year and maybe look at some of the other changes. So let's look at our standings now in the Western Conference, because this is really the big important thing to talk about from where we were in the last video. So we do finish off with the 3rd seed, 91 points on the year, 42-33, 3-4. By far the best record the Columbus Blue Jackets have ever had in their franchise's short handful of years history. But in our first year, we do manage to get the Jackets over that hump and get them into a good position, into the promised land, if you will. And we have, if you notice that in goals for and goals against, we have a 0-point differential. That's amazing. That's crazy. A 0-point differential is nuts. I can't believe that. So, interesting. Very, very interesting. So, Vancouver takes the top spot in the Western Conference at 102 points. They almost get 50 wins on the season. That would have been nuts. San Jose gets the 2nd seed in the West here, I guess taking over the Pacific Division, because we're the Central. San Jose took the Pacific. I think Vancouver took the Northwest. I'd have to look at it. I'm gonna have to look at it. I don't know all the division layout from this era of the NHL. They changed a lot in the 2000s, like late 2000s and early 2010s. The structure of the NHL changed a lot. So bear with me here, please. And then the Stars take the 4th seed. The Dallas Stars take the 4th seed at 93 points. Phoenix drops down to the 5th seed at 92 points. I think they lost out on their division over San Jose. San Jose must have had a pretty monster April. Detroit drops all the way down to the 6th seed since we took the division from them at 91 points. I guess we had the tiebreaker over them, but a very tough one for Detroit to just kind of miss out on the division. And then Calgary is in the 7th seed at 90 points, and then Minnesota caps things off here at 89 points at the 8th seed. And you have Colorado, Chicago, and Edmonton kind of just missing out. It's really just Colorado. The gap kind of did widen towards the end here with Chicago and Edmonton. The biggest problem for Chicago is they just could not lose outside of regulation, man. 41-37 is absolutely brutal. Probably by and far the most losses, I think, outside of maybe these teams at the very, very bottom. But for a team that was in the playoff hunt to have 37 losses and over 40 wins is really, really brutal if you're Chicago. So got to find a way to at least extend those games and get a point if you're Chicago. And then outside of that, we have some of our division teams here, Nashville and St. Louis, kind of torpedoed out. Remember, there was a point in the year, probably before the new year, where St. Louis was in a playoff spot, and now they're all the way down here in the second to last spot in the West. And then LA, man, LA was another one that was kind of up there in the hunt. I think we were talking about LA being in the hunt at the end of the March recap. And here they are second to last in the West, and then Anaheim completely bottomed out too at the end of the year too. So unfortunate for them, but we are in the playoffs. So take a look at the East now. Tampa Bay holds on to the top seed in the East here at 115 points. The Devils secure that second spot at 104 points. Toronto takes the third spot at 92. So Toronto, I think, did end up taking the division from Boston. I think was the race here, and there you can see Boston didn't even make the playoffs. Oh man, we're definitely gonna have to look at that. Pittsburgh takes the fourth spot at 103 points. The Islanders at 102 points. Remember, man, that division, I think, was completely loaded here. New Jersey's division, I think, was completely loaded. So we'll look at it in a second. And then Atlanta, a huge steep fall off by 10 points from the 5th seed down to the 6th seed. Atlanta, 93 points here, but they do make the playoffs as well, interesting enough. I think that might be the first time in franchise history they'd make it as well. I don't think Atlanta would make the playoffs until, I think, 2008, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's the one and only time the Thrashers made it, but in this sim, they make the playoffs, so good for them. Carolina, who I think was another team that we were kind of talking about, kind of needing a big month. I guess they got it because they're in the playoffs, and then the Flyers drop all the way down to the 8th spot, and I think the Flyers are a little bit higher too, and they drop all the way down to the 8th. And so as we look outside here in the hunt, so Boston is just misses out here. They finished 2 points shy here of the 8th spot, but they missed the playoffs. And then Ottawa just behind them by another 2 points. And then after that, it's kind of a fall off here as you get to Washington and Buffalo and the Rangers and so on and so forth. So looking at divisions here, so in the Atlantic, yeah, look at that, 3 teams with over 100 points in the Atlantic division. Just absolute insanity. That schedule must have been brutal for those 3 teams heading down the stretch. 4 of the 5 teams in this division made it to the playoffs. That's just absolute insanity. And then in the Northeast division here, yeah, Toronto takes the division from Boston. Has a pretty massive April, I would imagine, and manages to take the division away from the Bruins in the final month here, with Ottawa just kind of a little bit behind as well. In the Southeast division, Tampa Bay, I mean, they probably clinched it after the first game or two in April, but Atlanta still did make it. So did Carolina. So 3 teams from the Southeast. I think only the Lightning were a playoff team last month, or maybe Atlanta was there, but to have 3 teams go is interesting. So in the Pacific Division, yeah, San Jose takes the division here, I guess from Phoenix. I thought Phoenix was in first, and they finished 3rd in the division, and Dallas above them, and San Jose takes it from them. So shouts out to San Jose for getting the Pacific title. And then in the Northwest Division, I was right, it was the Northwest. In the Northwest Division, the Canucks take it over Calgary by a good 12 points, so pretty massive margin here. And then Minnesota, of course, finishing 89. Probably the most consistent division in terms of pointage in the entire NHL. I mean, look at that. Everyone in the mid to high 80s or better. And I don't know if there's a lot of divisions that kind of did that. I guess ours did in the Central, but we didn't have like a really excellent team like some of the other divisions did, like Vancouver. But we take the division over the Red Wings, I guess because of regulation wins, probably. I think we had more Reg wins than Detroit. That was probably the first tiebreaker, maybe. It could just be a season tiebreaker. I don't know what our record is against the Red Wings over the whole season, but I don't know. Either way, the tiebreaking scenarios, it led to us taking the division. So we get a division title and a playoff berth in our first season, man. That's amazing. It's great. And then Chicago finishes in a rough spot here with Nashville and St. Louis behind. And yeah, that's going to be it. That's going to be the entire look at the NHL. So let's look at the playoff tree. So this is a tough one, man. Our first playoff series, maybe you figured it out by just watching and figuring out who we would end up playing. But yes, we do play the Red Wings in our first playoff series, so it's a long way to get all the way to the Stanley Cup Final, if we are even going to make it. I doubt it, but I don't think we're built for the Stanley Cup Final, but we do have to play the Red Wings. I kind of feel good about our chances against the Red Wings in a 7-game series. You know, I think we might be able to take a series, not a game. We're going to at least take a game, but I think we could at least maybe take the series to 6 or 7 games. I would like to believe that. I would like to believe that, and I think we could win it. But moving on, though, I don't like our chances against a San Jose. I don't like our chances against a Phoenix or Vancouver, but I think maybe against like a Minnesota or Calgary, we should be all right. You know, maybe Dallas. I'm not sure, but the West is pretty loaded for the most part. We're by far not the worst team in the playoffs. I think Calgary probably holds that, or I mean, obviously Minnesota, but just in terms of a record, I mean, we helped out Calgary. We sold to Calgary, and they gave us their entire draft stock. So we'll see how well that goes. But yeah, here are your series as they pan out here. Vancouver's going to play Minnesota, Calgary and San Jose, us and Detroit. And then Phoenix is going to play Dallas And then on the eastern side, you're going to have Philly and Tampa, Carolina and New Jersey, Atlanta and Toronto. It's an interesting series. And then the Islanders are going to play the Penguins. So that is how the playoff tree stands. And so one of the last things, oops, I hit triangle too many times. One of the last things I wanted to look at, interesting enough, is I forgot there was the minor league team in this game. I haven't really looked at, hold on, there was a standings number. I thought there was. Hold on here. Okay, found the season standings here. So our AHL squad, the Syracuse Crunch, I think it's the Crunch at this time. The Syracuse Crunch, they finished second. They finished second in the AHL, man. 52, 21, 5, and 4. We're one of the best teams in the AHL. Can you believe that, man? I can't believe that. Absolutely nuts. So I'd love to do a full. I didn't know how detailed the AHL or minor league system in this game got, but apparently we get a full at least AHL season, and so we have like player stats for all of our guys too, man, like all of our prospects down here. So we might need to look into all this. Might need to do a separate episode just looking into all that stuff. So I don't know if I can look at schedule and results, so I might be able to play this. Do you think? I'm not sure. If I go to yeah, I don't know. Are you allowed to play those games? I'm confused. I don't think I am. I don't know. If I'm gonna have to look into that and get back to this, because I've had no control over what they do or how that's gone. But our AHL team is really good, so maybe the prospect depth is better than I initially thought that it was. So that's all there is to that one. But I just thought that was interesting. So probably the end of year thing, we'll probably look over all their stuff as well. And I guess I'll flash over to the player stats for now. Because now we're in playoff stats. Oh, so I can't even go back. I mean, I probably can, right? I can probably look at, I can toggle right here. Yeah, regular season. Here we go. Okay, so Therian Fleury here, obviously still leading the charge. He got himself, 7 more points in the month here. Almost reached that 40-goal mark. That would have been really cool for him. By far the most goals on the team here. But Rick Nash did crack the 30 mark here, so that's cool to see for him. Really for Marchant and Castles, our top two centers. Really for them, it's the assist game. Andrew Castles almost reaches the 60-point mark. I was kind of hoping he would, but it's okay. And then same with Todd Marchant, hoping he got to the 80 mark. But having one 80-point scorer on the team, I guess, is it is what it is. That's cool, right? And then we got a couple more guys over the 50 mark. So for Borney wasn't there. He got himself 11 points to get over the 50 mark. And then Yaroslav Spacek, I was looking for him, but he's down here. So Yaroslav Spacek really has a terrible month. He only gets 2 points. But Jeff Sanderson really throws himself into the mix here, gets to the 40-point mark. And yeah, that's kind of the top end here. And then I guess I'll look at our goaltenders here and see how they both did. So at the end of the year, the goals against. So the average here was about the same. He was 246 last year and finished off 247 here. So it's not too bad here. The same amount of shutouts as well here. Audrey Zierbe got one because I know we got a notification that there was an extra shutout in the month of April, but it goes to Audrey Zierbe and not Mark Denise. So. But Roger Zierbe actually plays quite a bit in the month of April. It looks like maybe it was his time to shine because his stats are drastically affected and changed here. Yeah, Mark Denise only played about 5 games here, so interesting. And then if we look at the save percentage, it's about the same as where it was. Both of them, it's about the same as where it was. So a good season for both of our tenders here. We got a good situation with our starting and backup, so I feel good about that. I don't know how many teams can really say that heading into the playoffs, but we are certainly one of them. So we're going to leave it hanging on the playoff tree here. I tried to get through this one quick because we had a shortened month, and I'm really excited to just get into playoffs. So when we get back here, I'm probably not going to do it like I did the National Series where I show every game. I would like to, but I think that kind of impacted how the game results went in the National Series. So I think I'll probably sim one and show one, maybe. And yeah, maybe that's how we'll do it. So in the next video, we'll sim game 1, and then we'll go to game 2. And then watch that, and then the next video we'll sim game 3, and then watch game 4. You get what I'm saying? So we'll probably do it that way and just see how that goes. But in the next video, we will cover the playoffs here and get started into our first ever playoff series as the Blue Jackets taking on a division rival, the Detroit Red Wings. So hope to see you guys there.